everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be kind of looking over this deck list that did well in a tournament that took place in Japan. I don't know why this number rings to my head, but 246 players, I believe. I think that's wrong. I could obviously fact check it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to trust my instincts. You can tell me I'm wrong in the comments. That'd be cool. But other than that, we're going to be playing Blue-White Auras, a deck that we've already tried to play once. And it went kind of like well-ish, I would say. Like, it didn't go super well and it didn't go super bad. We kind of ended like a little bit positive. But with that said, we're going to try it once again. And this is the best of 3 version of the list. So if you're looking to take it in best of 3, where I would argue that this deck is probably better at in general. As the format kind of slows down, this tends to get a little bit better. Obviously, some decks are going to be a little bit faster in this in best of 1 when they get to play or something like that. And we can't really go into the game 2 and 3 to kind of combat what they might have done in that best of 1 game. But with that said, we're going to pretty much go over this pretty quickly. And then I have some stuff to talk about for either the channel or things I'm going to be doing while gone in Vegas. So with that said, we play the Scavenger that gets benefits off of all the enchantments. We play Ethereal Armor, which gets bigger with every enchantment we play. And then we have the Rescue as kind of our protection spell, which also happens to be an enchantment aura, which is very cool. So we get benefits and rewarded for all that. We have the Glimmers, which make it cheaper. We have this that whenever an enchantment enters, it has Eerie. We make a 1/1 red Gremlin. This is very good against cards like Liliana the Veil, which is a lot more prevalent in best of 3 with all the Golgari builds. And into kind of where the spicy territory gets, we trimmed down on Fae Flights. I say we, like I made these decisions. I did not. Obviously, this player did. I'm not going to try to pronounce their name. I don't want to try because I just know I'll get it wrong. So this is the name, and they went 7-1-1. It's a little off screen there. As you can see, it's 7-1-1. So they obviously performed very well with this list. But we had 4 of these in. Initially, they went down to 2 to play a card like Prophets, which is a very interesting card on its own in this deck, and we don't necessarily have a ton of card draw, but when we do get it online with something like an Enduring Innocence or an Entity Tracker, this card can help turn even that 1/1 Gremlin that we make off the Tamer into a very lethal threat very, very quickly, especially when paired with something like an Ethereal Armor on top of that. Outside of that, we have the Shelter by Ghost, which is arguably the best 2-mana enchantment in the format right now, as it does exactly what Ossification does. But it can be any permanent that's not a land, which is a little bit different. It gives our creature a +1/+0 and gives it lifelink. So this is the kind of red killer, if you would. And then we have the Silent Hallcreeper, which means like if they're just trying to put a creature in front of us, we can bypass that creature because it cannot be blocked. And then we can turn this into something a little bit better if need be, being like a tracker or enduring, and go from there. And then we get to kind of make that combat happen and do very cool things with that. Other than that, we have the lands and we have the sideboard. It'll all be linked in the description below. And just a very quick kind of note to add on top of that, this deck is kind of cheap when it comes to crafting at least the main board cards overall, with these all being uncommons, these being commons, and these being the rares outside of the lands. So that's the final thing to note if you are interested in a deck like this. It's not necessarily that bad, but I can also say that for all the other variations that might just be better in best of 1 in comparison to the blue-white. But I think blue-white has a lot of legs in best of 3. So if you're interested in that, feel free to run that down. But other than that, I'm gonna bring up 2 things. Once again, I will be in Vegas. I will be at the MagicCon Vegas event. I will be running the Ultimate Guard booth as like one of 6 with the fellow Apex employees at the time. If you want to, feel free to say hi. Stop by. I'd be glad to say hello, do whatever, play maybe some Commander games or modern games. I'll have a modern deck with me. I've learned since people in my circle told me to take one, so I will have a modern deck with me. But other than that, the kind of future, at least of the next coming week, this isn't like a permanent thing. I've talked about, because Standard's in this weird place where the ley line's so good, it's so really hard to kind of get content. Sometimes it doesn't include that ley line, so a lot of games get cut and a lot of filming happens that you don't necessarily see. But we were going to go visit old blocks of Standard that, and we're talking pretty old, like Zendikar and things like that, like original Zendikar. So we're definitely thinking about going back, and where Primeval Titan was legal in Standard, Mox Opals were legal in Standard. Like all these crazy powerful cards that you see that some are banned in modern, like Mox Opal, for example, used to be in standard at one point, and that's kind of a crazy thing to think about. And we think that standard has had this kind of crazy massive power creep, but I would argue that some of these blocks back in the day have absurd kind of decks in them as well. So that is very cool. Like Splinter Twin, for example, is also a deck that was legal in standard back in the day. So it's definitely going to be an interesting time. I think I will upload a couple of those while I'm gone in Vegas, see how it goes. If people have any kind of comments to say towards that, feel free to let me know. I will gladly take any advice. I definitely don't think the videos are going to do extremely well, for example, but I do think like it might be a fresh break for people that don't necessarily want to keep watching best of one arena right now, especially standard gameplay. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the games and show off some of these decks that did well in Japan. All right, we go first here. Our hand's not necessarily the best. Hey, we have a 1-of. Never mind, our hand's cracked. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep this because I do have like a turn 1 tap land that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. And then we just play the Glimmer, and then we can hopefully play like a Profit plus the Sheltered by Ghost. That's kind of where my mindset's at with this hand. This obviously isn't an enchantment of any kind, so it doesn't get any cheaper. But the rest, okay. Well, Profits should probably be the one taken, but I can definitely see Shelter going. So there's our 1-of fun of card. That's kind of cringe. Well, let's play Glimmer. It might get hit with a cut down to go for a throw. There's a lot of options there. Enduring might be what we jam after this if nothing happens. Of course, Anoint on the battlefield now. No land, we'll just jam another one, I guess. They use 2 mana, so cut down's probably not available. It might draw one now, but Unstoppable Slasher, we know we're putting that under a Sheltered by Ghost. It's not really a choice. And in case of a Liliana, we definitely want to have it like that. But we put it here as well, so cut down's not necessarily getting absorbed. We attack. Or cut down can't be used against it. They have to use a 2 mana slot. They could also use a nowhere to hide or nowhere to run, I guess. Attacking would kill this, but then they would still be left with a slasher. That doesn't necessarily feel that good to me. We have to kind of do this the opposite way because I would prefer to draw a card over not drawing a card here, I think. I guess I forgot that that's how that was also going to work. Giving this flying, huge. We have temporary like blockers for everything. So I guess I'll just throw it here. Take that. Make another dude. Get flying. Skip him in. Hit for 4. We're looking good here. For everything to work out well, I guess. And their mana's going to be a little awkward. Duress hits nothing, but that's probably the draw they had for turn. If they attack, we just chump block. Of course, they're not going to because it's pretty dangerous to do that. We go in here. We go like this. Bring this up. Attack, attack. Attack, attack, attack. Attack. Like this, maybe? Might as well just ship as much in as I can, I think. Make a map. Obviously, I feel like the Tamer's what gets blocked. They could block the Innocence, but that makes an enchantment enter, and there's a lot of problems with that as well. Reason we're holding 2 of these back is so there's not a situation where one got cut down there, and then they can play like the big guy and win. Or threaten lethal, because our life total doesn't technically matter at all. What matters is if they put in the 4 drop and they connect with us, they'll kill us at any life total. That's just like the weird situation we're in. We have Enduring Innocence. We definitely can play the tracker next turn, but I did opt to obviously go for the Anchorage, as you saw. I think just making another flyer and attacker works, and I don't know. Even if they could kill this, I don't know if they necessarily have anything. So say they hit nowhere to run. They obviously haven't had a cut down at all. So the nowhere to run would have been the draw for turn. They kill this because they don't have to pay the ward. They get this back. I bring this up anyway. I attack, they block, and then they take 4 total and they still end up dying. So it doesn't actually matter kind of what happens there without like a universal board wipe or something. All right, we go first, or second. They go first is what I meant to say. I mean, this hand's a curve. I mean, we just lose to mono red, kind of. That's just the nature of best of 1 right now. Slam this. We have a protection spell to hold up, which we'll definitely be doing here, as long as they don't remove it now, obviously. Mirrex, interesting. Also, this is Boros control. Not necessarily what we thought it was. So I'm just gonna jam as many things as I can. If they go for like an Urbrass Forge here, we can throw it underneath a sheltered, which would be nice. They could temp lockdown me, I suppose. Yeah, so they go for Forge, and then we can shelter this. Which obviously we end up folding to a temp lockdown, but oftentimes we fold to that regardless. It just sucks. It's the way it is for us. But we'll throw this underneath. We'll absorb that. We'll make a little doodad. And then we'll move to combat, and we'll hold this protection spell up for as long as we can, pretty much. No lockdown, please. Second Urbrass Forge is pretty good. Not necessarily afraid of that by any means. I'll take the one. It's not that big of a deal. At this point, we're definitely racing. And a Sunfall could fall into place at any point, which would be tough. I don't think I want to go shields down at all. Going in for 4. We also have lifelink here, so it's a little bit nice. We already played a land, so there's not really a whole lot to wait for. Land Sunfall will do it. There's a Caretaker's Talent, and they have a colorless up. Okay. Sure. That's fun. So we're going to flash this in, and then we have to do a little bit of math here. So if I attach this, this goes to 4. It makes another one. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then another aura would be lethal. And I get like 2 draws here. So speaking of which, I'm going to put it on this, I guess. Because this is protected from a temporary lockdown. There's an Ethereal Armor. So we end up getting it. Very cool. We get underneath them. And that's what we need to stack to do at times. We need to be able to actually progressively get there. And something like an Urbrass Forge takes an entire turn off whenever we have the Sheltered by Ghost. That's why I argue it's one of the better auras that we've ever got. Because not only does it exile something like an Ossification would for 2 mana, but it goes on a creature, gives it ward and lifelink. So it's like a very combative effect against like mono red decks as well. And it's so good. It's just so good. Yeah, I will keep this. Yeah, okay. I did hit record. Cool. I decided, for everybody's sake, just to cut the mono red matches where I got slammed, because nobody cares to watch it. Like, I have learned, team, together with the power of technology, that nobody cares about mono red killing people on turn 2, unless it's the deck they're watching. Sure. Like the time to do that. Just Haughty Gem pile then? Yeah, okay. Cool. That's cool, man. That's some cool stuff, man. Alright, so we're gonna play here, I suppose. Then here, because this isn't an enchantment, so I don't really care. We'll just play our stuff out. And then, if I can find things that draw, we can turn our Prophets into a really good card. Prophets being one of the cards that I really wanted to try out in this deck list in the first place. But this one doesn't necessarily draw as much. Oh, just a generic Haughty Gem, huh? Okay. Can I kill my opponent from here almost? I feel like it's close. Let's give it the old college try, you know? Let's put this on here. Let's we're gonna pump this one because we want them to have less of a reason as possible to target this one. I understand this one has lifelink, but like, I'll hit you for 9, and then I'll hit you for 2. Down to 9. Because, like, obviously they're going to want Haughty Gem back, and they can Flood Maw bounce to Sheltered. But at the end of the day, like, obviously this thing's massive. I can give a creature flying, and we all know which one that's going to be. I think, anyway. About this. Man, they definitely have a bounce spell of some kind, huh? No? Okay, cool. That guy just advocated for. I end up beating today. Very cool. Go first. Ethereal Armor, Glimmer, Enduring Innocence, Tracker. I mean, if it's like any kind of slower match, I feel really good about this hand. It's just oftentimes not. I'll play a blue-white land out. It'll disguise itself as just a white land for now, even though our hand's never going to turn it on, apparently. No duress coming in here. Cut down obviously possible, but we're in jam spell mode until they stop us. Because like we jam this, and then we play this, and then we can play this, and they don't even go for removing that. That's kind of interesting. Cool, I suppose. So I'll play another Adarkar Wastes down. I'll just put in an Enduring Innocence for now. Maybe they have counterspell here. Definitely could. Definitely what they have. Now it's an option of whether I Ethereal Armor this or I just hold up protection. And I think holding up protection is more important. Gotta keep them kids safe, dude. Now Liliana, I guess, answers this. That's kind of a tough out, huh? Kind of something I didn't really think about. But we're in the same boat. We'll just flash in the tracker. All of our spells in our hand are 1 mana anyway, so it's not even like if they get rid of this, I'm losing out on too much value. Well, now if I try to draw cards, they can beat me. Fairy Mastermind obviously pretty good at doing that with the tracker. We don't really want to go overboard on drawing without being able to get rid of this thing. So like the tracker, what was once a positive is now going to be quite a negative, I would suppose. Even so much that they might even let it resolve, to be honest with you. Ooh, another white source. Do think I have to also be progressive here. I'll draw another card. Yeah, that's fine. Boom. Then I think I'm also just in like protection territory. You have a second removal spell? Oh, okay. Oh, and we draw the nasty protection spell number 2, which is insane for us. Like, that's just such a good draw. The Fairy Mastermind, of course, draws him 1 card, but it doesn't necessarily protect him from a second one. You have another Mastermind here. Maybe they'll opt to go for some removal in their turn. Maybe they have a board wipe, which if they're playing the most recent list, I don't think they play the board wipes. They definitely could, I suppose. Could just be a Kaido or something. The one, I think Ash showed it off. It was from the Japanese tournament. I also have it in my deck list to play. Which obviously, if they put it in here, I think more worse things happen to them than us. Doesn't give indestructible, so destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest powered among creatures they control. So what we do here is they won't get a draw, but we can equip this here. We can actually win the game. So this will trigger. That'll go in. We'll get this little draw here. And that'll obviously pop. Those will go away. And then just Ethereal Central, huh? A little lucky on the Ethereal Armor draws, but why not? Just a big old bonk for 12. So yeah, obviously this can count as a board wipe against us. The one I was thinking of was Deadly Cover Up. I wasn't necessarily thinking of the Gix command, which is where it is, but at the same time, we call it a day and we move on. Opponent first. Hand a little bit slower than probably what we want, but we'll try it. All right, our hand's going to be way too slow because apparently we're on a turn 2 format now. I know I'm playing a fast deck, but it doesn't even compare to that one, in my opinion. Yep, I'll take 4 damage, I guess, here. I basically got to play this and hope to draw the 1 card, or I'm just dead. Yeah. And then out. Gonna be play this, put counters on this, I guess. Might be enough, but like Monstrous Rage plus whatever is just gonna be lethal. Yeah, I can't imagine I'm not dead here. Okay, might be possible. I don't know. Gonna get 3 for double strike for 6, and then that's gonna get double strike for 2. And I mean, I just like, or there's a Monstrous Rage here. That has trample, so there's no reason to throw a block to protect 1 life total. 1 life point, I guess you can say. We'll throw this out. Maybe they have a shock. If they have a shock, then it's just over regardless. Here. 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 I'm just like, I think we just get overran regardless. 4 mana, 4, give it double strike and trample. We are dead. I'm just not gonna watch. Just don't have to. So no creature whatsoever, but we do have the sheltered, which is almost enough to make me snap this off. But too many blue-white creatures in our deck to not also have a blue-white land, so we have to throw back. And then here it's just going to be the Endurance going back because we don't have the land for it. It's the only card we can't cast in our hand. My opponent goes first. They're blue-white. Probably control if I had to guess. I'm blue-white control. Don't you worry about it. Play a tap land. Let me out. Could be a Hotagent pile, I guess, but doesn't necessarily seem that way based on that. We'll slam a Scavenger if they'll allow us. And we're not going to go for anything crazy here right now. Obviously, I can do the Ethereal Armor. Yeah, so is control. This is going to be a hard match in general. We basically have to hope that their hand sucks / their deck sucks. I don't know. And by their deck sucking, I mean drawing bad. That the worst part of all that, I just mean they need to draw bad. So we'll throw this up. That'll resolve. We'll try to cast an Ethereal Armor, I guess, on this, I suppose. That's probably the best creature we have. I don't know. It's weird. Because, like, they're way more inclined to remove the creature that's going to get buffed. On interest. And I'm going to put a counter here. I'm not going to put it on the Scavenger, I don't think. Now, obviously, it could also be holding a counter spell and temporary lockdown, which is tough. They take a draw. Maybe their hand does kind of suck. I'm not sure. Maybe they thought we were control, but they haven't really made any decision outside of what's just in their opener. And there's the lockdown. So, not really surprised. Not a land draw. That kind of sucks. So now we're basically locked out of the game. Without getting a creature down and sheltering by ghost this lockdown immediately, I think we just lost all momentum. And I think we're just going to be locked under some counter spells here. And not another creature, so I'm just going to concede. I don't feel like trying to grind this out for 30 minutes. Just hoping that their draws all suck or they don't have any other ways to draw. Like, it's just not worth your time, to be honest. So, I'll move on. Opponents first. 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop. Hopefully it's good. That kind of sucks, I guess. Gonna be a little bit slow. So it's auras as well, but it's green-white with Calyx. Might just be getting overran already. Man, this format's so draw, like, just so draw play dependent. It's insane. It makes it so hard to, like, play sometimes because you just know every single game. It's just, am I on the draw? Well, I feel like I've already lost. Now, if they just played the sheltered here, I'm in big trouble. This is Ward 1, this is Ward 2. This is pretty nice because you can use the pump ability. And they already have an audacity to give that trample. I'm not really going to run anything down. I assume I'm just getting hit with this just to get lost. Okay. Wasn't really ready for that, I guess. They attack with 1 because, like, obviously that makes sense. We'll play here. I guess the idea should just be to hold for the entity tracker. Or, like, play something like this that can't necessarily just, like, die, I suppose. And it's technically a blocker for this. So, yeah, I guess playing the Endurance makes more sense. If they kill it, like, I don't lose it permanently. It's still on the battlefield. They play another land. Of course, I will block the Admirer, even though it tramples over for whatever, but it kind of, like, neutrals out. It's weird. It actually neutrals out perfectly. The Audacity, the other creature. Very cool. Now, if they only swing that, it's a little confusing. Maybe not. Ethereal Armor? Yeah, my bad. Just play another Ethereal Armor. And just take, like, really long on your turn, please. I guess, like... It's weird because it only seems like it's going to block one here, but it actually blocks more than that. And that has first strike anyway, so I had to block here. Because then it kind of gains 3 life in a way. It doesn't necessarily go away at all. There's a Sheltered by Ghost, which don't necessarily answer this at all. But I can answer the Ethereal Armor, which is kind of what matters. And now I can do even more than that. I can play this down and then play a Sheltered by Ghost, which is nice. How much ward is this? Is this ward 2? It's ward 2, and this is ward 1. Then I also have ward 2. Yeah, so I guess it should just be play this down and just get another creature on the board. Put a counter on this. And then Shelter by Ghost it. Which obviously it seems a little bit weird, but we're just going to eat the Ethereal Armor. That's the only thing really making that like massive at all. Now it's just a 3-1. Obviously you can still trade this, but I'm never going to make that block. If they play a 4th mana, we'll just be stuck in this weird spot. And then next turn, I'll Ethereal Armor it after playing maybe a tracker so I can get an extra draw, and then I'll draw. Just like all this weird stuff. If they have a Sheltered... No, it's another Ethereal Armor, sure. It's got Trample. I think this is the weird thing where 5, 6, 7, 8... I can live at 1, but I don't know if that's necessarily worth it. Actually, it might be. Because I'll have so much lifelink swinging back. Is that fine? There's nothing I'm missing, right? So 5, 6, 7, 8. The only real issues is they do have trample, though. But I don't necessarily want to make my stuff any more expensive. But I guess does that matter? It might. I can always block stuff next turn because I'll have a lot of life to play with. And this is an enchantment, so it'll help. Yeah, I'll just take it, go to 1. It's a little tough. I do agree. Not saying it's the best thing of all time, but let's play this and go a little bit wider. Plus, it'll trigger that. Another one of those. With that said, maybe I activate here, go here, maybe? There's that on top. Okay, we'll keep. I'll play this land tapped, and then I'll go for an Ethereal Armor here. Then I'm going for, like, the big chunk, which is 10, which is more than these can do at all. So I'll hit them down to 7. We need a dead draw here. Not a dead draw, actually. I just lost to that. Right? So I was gonna get a +7 on there. I didn't expect, dude. No way. I live here? Boy, oh my, should I not have, though? Okay. All right. Everybody hide, dude. Everybody hide. I can swing for lethal. That goes up to 5. I guess it wasn't... for whatever reason, I also thought this was hitting me for 14. So add that on, so... It's going to hit me for 7 plus 5, which is 12, 13, 14, 15. Is that what it was last time? If we just hold, like, I'd have no idea. Main thing is going to be the first strike on the scavenger is going to be too much. It's going to be the problem. Maybe we get there. Maybe our punt isn't necessarily bad. It's kind of that weird thing where, like, I guess I didn't even realize that the land draw was so unoptimal. They both have first strike, so it's like kind of a wash. And now we're kind of resetting this game. Ethereal Armor comes back, equipped it under there. They get an Audacity draw, sure. Then we're under the same kind of warranty, which sucks. Our toughness is more better here. Or Sheltered Ghost equals more better here. Like, I guess I can threaten a lethal attack. Because Ethereal Armor will no longer be there. I just land. You know, I guess I should have waited because when I play one of these, I could draw another land, I guess. I mean, yeah, it seems plain as day to throw one of these in there. Yeah, and there's the land draw. There's 2 land draws just to punish me. Fair enough, honestly. Fair enough, to be honest. Yeah, I'm definitely not playing my tightest in this game. I kind of like had already conceded when I messed up with that play, and ever since then I've kind of just been doing the same thing. Man, nice deck balance, bro. 3 Audacities, 3 Armadillos, 2 of these. Like, what are we doing? You know, there's 0 chance I block that ever. Not in this stage of the game. And now we are just going to play this Plains because it turns all these on. And then I'm going to opt to play Hero Armor here. I'll take my draw 2. I'll take my Sheltered. Sheltered's pretty cool here. And now it's just going to be way too much with the extra Ethereal Armor, the extra Glimmer, the Hallkeeper, the Sheltered by Ghost. Like, it's all going to be crazy. And there's just no way they'll ever keep up. So, coming out of the game at the end, definitely not my tightest game I've ever played in my entire life. But so be it sometimes. All right, we go first. No real threat here, but really good cards. I'm going to try this hand. I think this hand's probably bad with the way the format is. Just, like, going to keep it a buck. I think this is definitely going to be a little too slow. Well, another land kind of maybe pays it off. We're going to play a land, go for the tracker here. Mono blue. We're going to counter it on my instep. Or their instep. Obviously, we're not going to do anything. They could also flash it back to my hand. And, like, flood bounce it back to my hand. We don't have a protection spell by any stretch, so it's not like I necessarily get to play it and go from there. Okay, maybe we rip a protection spell? No. And now I just opt to play this. Why I can get it in play. Could play Ethereal Armor, but again, I think they have a bounce spell. They haven't done anything. No draws, no anything. So I assume I'm picking this back up, and there it is. So obviously we didn't waste our Ethereal Armor. But that said, we'll just keep pushing forward, I suppose. We'll slam this. No counterspell conventionally works that well here with this. And it sticks, and then we'll just go to instep on their turn and try to cast the tracker. It might bounce this. It can't be blocked, so it's definitely a cool little guy that we got going on. Counterspell now costs him 2 mana-ish. Or 1 mana. But they have 2 is what I was trying to say. So we'll put a tracker on the stack. They can counter it. I can't pay for it, but this is all bait for my Shelter by Ghost to resolve. And they go for a 3 steps ahead, which is interesting. I'm not saying it's bad. By any means, that's for sure. But we'll go with a Shelter by Ghost here. We'll kind of absorb that underneath. I could play this Ethereal Armor, but I think I'm going to make contact here. Actually, I could make it a copy of this guy, which would be cool. But I think I want to draw. Maybe I just cash in at the same time. Let's hit. Let's draw. See what's up here. Obviously, a bounce spell, most likely from our opponent. We draw a land. I'm going to slam this Curiosity. We're just going to hope this is fine. If they bounce this, I lose my enchantments, which suck. That's the main problem, and they definitely have the mana to do it. Oh, they draw and they go to one card. Now they don't have the mana to do it. They can bounce it and get a fish back, but Ethereal Armor is too good. This one pause here. Oh, Sleight of Hand, you're just tapping out. Please, enchantments. All right. Let's take a draw. No way, bro. Not like this. Not all the lands like this. Guy, I guess. I don't know. In turn. This sucks, man. Body gen number 2, but the problem is my creature has first strike, so it doesn't matter. Alright, now there's a protection spell as well. So let's play this down. Let's bring this up. Let's move to combat. This is definitely an all-out attack situation. We have to close the game here, even though it seems very unlikely for us to do so. Again, our 7/5 does have first strike. Just okay. Make them pay the ward. Fire this off. Give it that protection. I'll just put a counter here because it doesn't matter. Sure. First strike damage happens, and we close out the game. Thankfully to ward. Now, what I was saying before that definitely could have happened, which was scary, is they could have had this card in which they can bounce a permanent. So they could have bounced either this and got another Hodigen back before combat, or this, and then my creature would have been really small and not have first strike. So it would have been what, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess they like blocking doesn't work the best. They get another Hodigen back, but then I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the board. And then obviously if they went to bounce this, I can obviously cast this on something else and grow something else. So it's kind of this weird like back and forth with what would have happened in that game. But yeah, we pull that game out. We beat another kind of blue Hodigen pile, blue-white helping handish pile. Obviously they weren't playing white, but come away with it regardless. So here we are, the Auras deck, and how do I feel about this, playing it in best of 1 for the second time, I believe. One thing I was pretty happy about is being down on a couple of copies of this card. This card always felt too expensive if I didn't have a Glimmer in play. This card's value in comparison, like at 2 mana, in comparison to something like this's value at 2 mana, or even this value at 1 mana, or this value at 1 mana, just seems so insane to me. Like, this card just seems outclassed in kind of every way there. So it's a little bit interesting. Also, I'm unsure why they don't play the white one. I guess because the hexproof is so important in that format. But in best of 3, this deck's definitely got a lot more legs on it. Obviously, as they performed a lot better than probably what we did in the best of 1. If you're definitely counting percentage-wise, they definitely performed a lot better. But yeah, I mean, this deck's good. I think the budget behind it actually helps a lot too. In terms of, like, in paper, this deck is pretty cheap, I believe, with, I think, this Enduring card being the most expensive if it's not a land, which is weird. But outside of that, I mean, common, uncommons, uncommon, uncommon. This is 4 rares, which is a little bit tough. I didn't play this the first time around, so I guess I didn't think about that here. But uncommons, uncommons. This is the old one, obviously. Rares and rares. So, like, there's no mythics in this deck. You have 8, 11, 12 rares outside of your lands, of course, which is obviously always going to be an issue. And then there's obviously a sideboard here if you're interested in that and what they end up playing. A card I keep seeing, I never remember what this does. Enchant creature tapped, enchant creature, if gift one, put 3 stun counter. You control the enchanted creature. I had to assume this is for Traxa. Like, I can't assume this for anything else. Very interesting, of course. But with that said, I don't have much more to say. I think the deck kind of explained itself outside of what we did. I think we probably could have played our games a little bit tighter. But with that said, that's all you're going to see from me today. And I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.